In the attempt to help keep the words and the expressions that I grew up with in Grenada, I have included them in the books that I have written. I want to reflect on one of those words, Grandcharge, and of course, Grandmove, because the local expression, Grandcharge and Grandmove were often used. Most Grenadians are familiar with the word Grandcharge. Some have been very good practitioners of Grandcharge at one time or another. Now, a Grandcharger is one who likes to bluff. He or she pretends to do things but never actually follows up on his or her pretense, only pretending. The move is sometimes meant to frighten someone, and the word grand move is often used to describe the action of the grand charger. Well, policemen and politicians, of course, were known to be good at the grand charge, and I'll tell you about a certain policeman later. They often go through all the motions of making arrests as a policeman and women, you can say. Making all the motions of making arrests with loud talk, big talk, and gestures. And they usually ended up arresting no one, ain't arresting anybody. Some people have been such good masters of the grand charge or the grand move that the nicknames stuck to them for the entire lives. There were many grand moves all over Grenada and in Carriacou too. A certain grand move fellow in Carriacou, well, he had his own slogan. Grand is the word and move is the action. Once grand move, well, he made a bunch of fellas from Grenada, from the mainland. He made them duck for cover. The man got a piece of wood and he pretended he was about to fight, to beat them up. He began flinging his hand in the air, making all kinds of idle threats. The man was only puppy showing. Well, those who knew him laughed. They knew what he was capable of or what he was not capable of. So they laughed because they were aware that all the big voos, that's another word, voos, making big voos, all the voos he was making was simply grand charge. That's all it was. Grand charge, nothing more. Now, a grand charger would bust your head with an imaginary stone. He would pretend that he has one in his pocket, but all the action is only meant to frighten you, to scare you off. You call this bluff, he does nothing. He does nothing. All he wants to do is to frighten you with loud songs and words. He puts his hands in his pocket as if he has something in the pocket. But all the man is doing is playing pocket pool. You know what is pocket pool? And he is playing pocket pool and looking to see if you would run away. Never worry about the dog and its grand move, because dogs are good at that too. The grandest move is usually made in front of its master's gate. I'm sure you have seen that. It remains a truism that all dogs are bad in their own backyard. Woof, woof, woof. They bark in the street, but their bark turns into a lion's roar in front of the owner's house. Then you make your own grand move by grabbing a piece of wood or a big stone, and both you and the dog run away in different directions. A case of big grand chargers running for cover. Now I'll tell you this. You see the silent dog? That is the one to watch. Just as the silent people who don't say anything, watch them. They're serious. The silent dog will sneak up on you without even barking. It never wastes its time barking or making any grand move. Then you have to scamper away to escape its seething anger as it sinks its teeth into your cocope, your kajam. That's the part behind your shin, your kajam, called the cocope. It is a fact that barking dogs seldom bites. And I would say, barking people too. You see people on Facebook making all kind of noise as if they're barking. Boy, you meet them up. Grandcharge, boy, Grandcharge. I vividly remember the story about a man in Grenville when he heard cutlass passing in his land. And of course, somebody was obviously stealing his crops. The man wanted to protect his yams and his green fig, whatever they were trying to steal. So he crept close to a mango tree and playing Bajan, he knocked his cutlass against a stone and shouted, "Who dat? Who dat?" The thief, hitting his own cutlass on a stone, replied, "Who dat say who dat dey?" The landowner, angry but scared, bawled out, "Who dat who ask who say that day? Come out, let me bust your tail, you go see who dat." And the thief, of course, in a gruff voice, gruff, "Who dat who say who dat who ask who say that day? Who the hell say who that day? Bring out your ass here, you go see who that day, you go see who that." Grandcharge, pure Grandcharge, by both of them, on both ends. "Who dat? Who that day? Who that who say who that day?" That was a battle cry. And none was brave enough to make a real move. The only move that they made was the grand move. And both were frightened, just as a woman called a muffin. Well, muffin pretended to be a test. She pretended a test is like a bajon, man. But she pretending, and she flew into the arms of a man after a serious confrontation with a real bajon woman in Bogo Cottage. You know where Bogo Cottage? And she resorted to threatening words. "All you hold me, all you hold me. I say hold me before I cripple she backside. Hold me. I say hold me. She said those words, but she was pressing against a man standing nearby. She was Grandcharging, praying for the man to hold her. Grandcharge. And one must not forget, don't forget, the man who drank up his Tanya log, the man drank Seymour's Bourbondy. Well, they didn't brag for them times. That was his aphrodisiac. So he felt strong, smiling, happy, went home to his wife, contemplating his intending superb marathon bedroom performance. Well, in the still of the night, the telephone rang, and his wife picked it up and listened as her girlfriend who she used to tell everything. The girlfriend inquired, "How is your tiger doing? The man that drink up all this sea moss and all these things. How are we doing?" Her reply was a perfect description of a grand charger, a man with a grand move. You talking about the grand charge, man? That big Mako. Lord, I never see a man like that. The man told me drank up the bob and day, the sea moss and the Tanya log, and he was ready for some serious action. But you know what he did? He kissed me. Held me tight. And braps. You know the Mako fall asleep? Well, I never see more. And now the police constable, Grandmove. Well, police constable Grandmove, well, he never liked the idea of arresting anybody. And he was unlike many of the other policemen whose job was to uphold the law. They did not shy away from arresting the lawbreakers. Now, Police Constable Grandmove served during the time of the policeman who apprehended a woman on Grenadians Road, but he brought her to the nearby Gore Street to write the statement because he just couldn't spell the word Grenadians. So he brought her to Gore Street because he could spell Gore Street. But he was different from my brother Big George. For during Big George's tenure as a policeman, Big George arrested quite a number of crooks. Once Big George crutched up a Bajon near the fire station, the building on the Carnage. You know, policemen employed the embarrassing action known as scrutching up. Yeah, scrutching up. They hold you by the waistband there and they pull up. Yes, they hold the prospect from behind by the waistband of their pants and pull them up. If you see a policeman arrest a drunk man and make him walk to the police station, policeman going one way and the drunk man going the other way. So they used to walk them up to the police station. Quite embarrassing, eh? People looking at that. So Big George lifted up, but Big George was a strong fella, real strong. So Big George lifted up the man with one hand. And Big George was so strong. He had a poor fellow dangling like a wilted leaf in the air. The man was so humiliated. He pleaded with Big George. "Oh God, oh officer, oh God, put me down now. I don't want people to see us so light. Well, Big George allowed him to walk to the police station. Now, Grandmove was known to warn offenders. He scolded them harshly and often gave them a good tongue lashing. Some of us call a tongue lashing a verbal planasse. You see a lot of verbal planasse passing on social media these days. At times, Grandmove dug into his pocket and pulled out a black book and pretended to write. Man, that was just Grandcharge, another name for pretense. He thus acquired the fitting name Grandmove, which also meant that he was given the serious bluffing. There was one occasion, though, that Grandmove was forced to go beyond the usual bluffing and make an arrest. Well, sort of. Sometimes things happen and you just have to do something about it. Well, that happened near the By supermarket. Who remembers the By supermarket? Ask Granny or Granddad. Ask them. The By supermarket in St. George is one busy market day. Well, a market day, Saturday was called a market day. Now, a man was standing in the street, and the man was behaving outlauded. You know, Granny used to use that word all the time, and they're too damn outlauded. The man had no reverence for God. He had no reverence for man. Cussing big bad words, we used to call bad words sailor words, because the sailors, they used to walk across the Carnage and in St. George's, used to use some big bad words, obscene language. Yes, the man was using some big words, man. And he made up some of them. He even threatened to put 2 planas on a woman, a vendor, who was standing on the sidewalk. Now, policemen never like to hear bad words. In Grenada, they arrest people for that. And they were especially angry if those who were using the bad language made up the bad words. They didn't like those that people made up at all, because we good in we class, we're making up words too. And policemen didn't like words that were made up, that they did not understand. Man, they'll arrest you. And if they don't understand, for instance, a word like manger popot, they might think that is a bad word, but it's not. Grandmove was on duty that morning, and he noticed the Rukshan boy, the Rukshan. He edged closer to see what was going on. He approached the man and he told him, "Hey man, behave yourself now. Cool it, man, cool it. But the man started to curse Grandmove, and he cursed him strongly. Grandmove, man, my ear shut your ugly ass. What kind of policeman you are? Yeah? What kind of policeman you are? You is. Don't fret me, eh? Don't fret me. You call yourself a policeman, but you look more like a damn panty man. Man, go hide your old backside, your dirty self. If you know what's good for you, eh? Go hide your blasted ugly face." Grandmove warned the man again. "Behave yourself now. I have a good mind to lock you up, You're playing your head oh good. You're trying my patience, boy. You're trying my patience." The man started to pelt more sailor words, more bad words at Grandmove. And people like to look at that, eh? They like to laugh. Grandmove could take it no more, especially when the people started laughing. He had to do something. Yes, he had to do something. Cannot stand there and make himself a mama pool, a kuno mono, a koko yaya. No. He had to do something. He did not want to be a gagazot. He had to do something. He was clearly embarrassed, and it showed on his face. So he scratched up the fella. He scratched him up. Started to walk in the direction of SPCK bookstore. Who remembers SPCK bookstore? Up the hill where St. George's Catholic Boys School, that we call Palmer School, stood. Canash Hill, near Granitang Road. Yes, he proceeded to Granitang Road on his way to the police station. Well, once he reached the St. James Hotel. Who remembers the St. James Hotel? A hotel right in the heart of the town. Once he reached there, and he was alone with the offender, he stopped. Grandmove was vexed the boss, boy. He was vexed the boss. And he began to talk. Oh, calm, man. I's a big man. You didn't have to cuss me up so in front of all them people. You make me a laughing stock in the heart of tongue. I look like a blasted mama pool in front of all them people. Man, I know your people. I know your people. I went to school with your father. Your father's a good man. You come from good people. But if it wasn't for them, I would have done bust a bull pistol on your head, you know. Bust a bull pistol on your head for your dotishness. Let me catch your cussing and tongue again. You gonna know what God you're serving. You know, Grandmove let a man go. So, Grandmove almost made an arrest. Grandmove and Grandcharge. Anthony Wendell, the Rigs.